Peace, peace, peace. What it is, it's your brother Tyvon Swano, aka the Orthodox Moor, aka the Seven Pillars Severson, aka Brother Moore. And real quick, I wanted to bring to the family an interesting conversation um, that I thought would be beneficial to look at in terms of as being an example of how to do proper dawah. Um, I'm going to show you a recent video I saw from a Speaker's Corner Muslim named Shabir Yusuf. I've been watching Shabir Yusuf for years. In fact, he's the whole reason I started watching Speaker's Corner. Like a good 7-10 years ago, like the only videos you'd see off Speaker's Corner were Shabir's videos. You know what I'm saying? And he'd go around having really good conversations with a bunch of different people of different belief systems, and really rational, really polite, fantastic. And I'm a big fan of Shabir's also because he reminds me of a Muslim family friend who gave me the Quran when I was a teenager, and who was from Sri Lanka. And the Sri Lankan brother was to me the best example of any religious person I've ever met in my life. Any religious person. Very compassionate, very honest, very loyal. The best representative of any kind of religion you'd ever want. If all Muslims were like him, if all Christians were like him, if all Jews were like him, the world would be straight. You know what I'm saying? There'd be no beefing. I have a lot of respect for that brother, and it's literally his fault I'm a Quranist. He probably have a problem saying that. Hear me say that because he's a Sunni himself. But when he gave me the Quran when I was a teenager, he just gave me the Quran. Just let that be that. He gave me a Yusuf Ali version of the Quran, and didn't even let me know there were anything called Hadith or whatnot. So I just read the Quran, and everything kind of stemmed from there. But I wanted to show this conversation between Shabir Yusuf and an Orthodox Jew that comes to the park, because he chooses to talk to the Orthodox Jew about Christianity and the Bible. So part of the Quran is reminding the Jews and other people of the previous scripture not to practice their religion in excess. Like, so there's stuff for the Christians, but there's stuff for the Jews, right? And so one of the things that's there for the Jews is to remind them that Jesus is the Messiah, and that he's a prophet for Israel, etc. And then, but they point to Jesus in a way that it's not practiced excessively for a Jew, which is really interesting to understand once you understand a thing. Like Jews don't typically have a problem with the Islamic Jesus. They have an issue with the Christian Jesus. And so I thought it was extremely interesting that Shabir chose to go out of his way to talk to an Orthodox Jew about Christianity and the Bible. And so I wanted to show this conversation as an example of what dawah is supposed to look like from the Quran. The Quran has a very explicit etiquette that you're supposed to use when doing dawah and talking to people of the previous scripture, or when talking to people who are atheists. It tells you what to talk about, what not to talk about, how to be respectful about the thing, what to confirm, what not to confirm, all those things. And so one of the ways one of the things that the Quran says is, like, when dealing with people of the previous scripture, that you confirm what came down to them and what came down to you. And that you argue and that you discuss in the best of ways, confirming what came down to them and what came down to you. And that also that if you come to a disagreement, that you leave that topic until there's no disagreement, or until there's clarity on something, until you talk about something else, so you don't have strife. And so I think Shabir Yusuf is the best symbol and example of that concept from the Quran that I've seen in any kind of public dawah from a Muslim anywhere. And so I really want my Christian homies to see this, but also anybody particularly anybody who looks at Islam as the opposition. There's not a necessity for it to be the opposition, particularly with people like Shabir. And so I want that to be kind of made evident. So I've got the full video shared below. I may or may not play the whole thing. It's from a channel called All Truth Revealed. If you are interested as to what Speaker Corner is all about, you can probably go subscribe to them and get a good idea as to what it's about. But without further ado, family, I'm going to get into this. Oh, wait, let me do this right quick. I always forget to do this part. Yeah.
Hello. How are you? Likewise, long time no see. But you still look the same. You still look just as young. Thank you.
3 years I haven't seen you.
I know.
I saw you, and then I said, I'll speak to you next week.
I know.
I looked into the Josiah things you told me.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
And then I got confused with somebody else.
I know.
Right? And then I saw you again.
Well, what had happened? We came after we had a conversation with you. I think it took 2 months before we came again. Yeah. Then last year, it was a total lockdown. Couldn't do it. This year, when we just had decided to come, they put us into a local lockdown. So we couldn't travel. And today, finally managed to get back. And even that,
That's the person I debated when I came here.
I know. I know, you discussed with me. Yeah, but look, at the end of the day, even today, at 12 o'clock midnight, I had an issue and it suddenly got inflamed. And I wasn't even sure whether I would make it here. But I thought, you know what? If I don't go today, it's going to be another few weeks. So it is better coming and getting it sorted. Thankfully, everything is okay. And here I am. So what have you been doing with yourself? Tell me.
University now.
Are you?
I'm here every week.
Really? Excellent. Oh, what are you studying?
City University of London.
City?
Yeah. It's near Angel.
All right. What are you studying?
Law.
Ah, good man.
A travel credit card that turns camping into glamping? Compare and find this.
Go ahead and get some ad money, my G.
Now, let's try and rewind the clock back to
3 years.
where we were. And since you've already confused me with someone, let's get back to what we were discussing. Yeah.
Yes. I confused you with somebody else. I
know.
started thinking the argument that you. Do you know who I confused you with?
Who?
Harold.
Arnold, how dare you confuse me with him?
I'd forgotten what you looked like. I came back the next week. And I thought, where's that fellow? And I saw somebody who could it have been that person? And I went up to him and said, I looked up Josiah. And he said, oh, good, very good. He learned about Josiah. Let's talk about Josiah. And I thought, is that forgotten?
He had forgotten anything. Well, it doesn't matter.
And then I accused him the next week. I said, you tricked me. I thought you were a Christian. I've just found you on, I found out from somebody else. The person like your Shabir Yusuf. He said, I'm not Shabir.
After a full conversation, you realize, he's not in. It happens, don't worry. So, currently, I think, when was it? I had an opportunity to have a look at the video. Was it last week or the week before? Who were you talking to? Brother Shamsi or Brother Ali? Yeah.
I spoke to him in the summer.
Yeah. I was actually watching that to see. I mean, going back to what we said, as I can recall, the conversation that you were having was with somebody else. And we came in and we were having a conversation. I mean, you are an Orthodox. Yeah. What is it? You see, the way I want to do it, I don't want us to go all the way around. But as a person of Jewish origin, yeah, obviously Christianity came and then Islam came. How are you? It's okay. How are you viewing these two that came after? And I want you to be open with me. You know, we are fine.
I view them as false.
Yeah?
I view them as both false.
Okay.
But I view them as having little sparks of truth within them.
Yeah.
And that I view that they've done a lot of good in the world. They've also done a lot of bad in the world. So I see that Christianity and Islam have spread some very important concepts to people, right? Across the world, they've spread the idea of a Messiah. They've spread the idea of one God, even if Christians have got it the wrong way around. And this is very useful because when the Messiah comes, we believe, so now people around the world, they now know what is this, right? They now know what's going on. Right? Christians and Christianity and Islam have served a very important purpose, preparing the world for the Messiah.
Right.
This is what my molecule says.
Yeah.
However, they have also wrought a lot of destruction, a lot of terrible things that happened in the name of these two religions over the course of their existences, especially when they've had power. And so these are, of course, negative influences in the world. So there's positive influences and negative influences.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, I'm sure that if we were to take your reasoning to its logical conclusion, the assumption is that when the Messiah comes, is he going to have enemies?
I suppose probably at the beginning, probably yes.
Is there a possibility that there is going to be war?
There is going to be a war before the Messiah comes. That we know from Ezekiel.
But after the Messiah comes?
After the redemption, there's not going to be any peace.
Is he going to have enemies?
At that point, no.
He's not going to have any enemies. Okay.
It's going to be one final war just before Messiah kind of reveals himself. It's going to be the war of Gog and Magog. This is described in Ezekiel. And there's a little bit of description about it in Zechariah as well. After that, Elijah's going to come and say the Messiah's coming in 3 days. 3 days, the Messiah will come, Elijah will tell us who he is. And that will usher in this era of world peace. How exactly that will work, I don't know.
Right, I understand. That's fine. Now, the issue is this. If, for example, you have Christianity, then came Islam, you view them both as false. On what premise do you view them as false?
I view both of them as false in that their books contradict the Torah, and that they believe that there were people who were prophets who came after what I believe was the end, the seal of prophecy.
Okay.
The seal of prophecy, the end of the prophets
Yeah.
for the world was the prophet Malachi.
Yeah.
The end of prophecy for the Gentiles, the non-Jews, was Balaam.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. That is fine. But again, I'm still asking, on what basis are you going to exclude Christianity and Islam? If I were to say, because what you said, the Torah, it goes against the Torah. In what way?
So Christianity.
Yeah.
So Christianity has the idea that God became a man, right? Became a human being on the earth. This is very much contrary to the Tanakh, right?
But I know without.
Sorry,
I'm sorry. What's your name?
Josh.
Josh, listen. Before you go further, I know. I can remember now. But before you go further, look. What the Christians believe is not necessarily what the book says. Do we agree?
Yes, although it does say there, although I have seen Jesus says in John, I am the Father are one. I know that there is a Unitarian and a Muslim way of looking at that, which is that one not in essence, but in some other way.
No, but can we not look at it, Josh, for what it is? Rather than saying it has got either an Islamic view of it or just looking at the statement itself. Because if I were to say, and because we are discussing it, we may as well go into the meat. Yeah? It says, I and my Father are one. Yeah? But the chapter or the verse starts off at verse 23. They come to him and say, if you are who you claim you are, the Messiah, tell us plainly. And he said to them, I have many a good works have I shown you from the Father. Yeah. For some odd reason, he equated good works. Yeah. But he also said, he says, my sheep know me, they hear me, they follow me. Yeah. No one can pluck them out of my Father's hands. No one can pluck them out of my hands. I and the Father are one. Now, logically speaking, the statement itself is making an association with the Creator in a way which can only be understood to be blasphemous. It seems like that. But like I said, if you look at the text and the evidence, it does not necessarily mean that is what it is saying. So we see, if I were to ask you now, Josh, he said, I and my Father are one. That's verse 30 of chapter 10. What does verse 31 say? What does verse 32 say? Right, okay. Now, I understand, yeah, because it is a common thing that the Christians tell us. But verse 31, they picked up stones to stone him. What did they do? Who were they? Let's call them collectively the Jews. They picked up stones to stone him. He says in verse 32, many a good works have I shown you from the Father. For which of the good works do you stone me? Now, if you reason it based on what you said, he claimed, or he made a statement, I and my Father are one. They, like what you are thinking, thought it was blasphemy. He says to them, many a good works have I shown you from the Father. For which of the good works do you stone me? Verse 33, they said to him, for a good work we stone you not, but for blasphemy. For after being a man, you make yourself a... Now, I and my Father one is not what necessarily we think it means. Because here he is telling them, I have done many good works. Which one are you stoning me for? It's like he didn't realize why they had picked up stones. Because if he did, he would have said, yes, I am. What's your problem? But he didn't, did he? He says to them, many a good works have I shown you from the Father. Now tell me, Josh, as a reasonable individual, they picked stones to stone him. Before that, they asked him, if you are the Christ, tell us plainly. Yeah, if you are the Messiah, tell us plainly. He says to them, many a good works from the Father have I shown you. My sheep hear my voice. They know me. Now, so far, has he said anything blasphemous? My sheep know me in the full. No, he hasn't said anything. He then, yeah, absolutely. Then he says, and I'm glad you said weird because now you understand why they misunderstood what he said. Yeah. So he then says to them, no one can pluck them out of my Father's hand. Who? The true disciples. No one can pluck them out of my hand. Who? The true disciples. I and the Father are one. Now there is an issue where we think he claimed divinity in a way. Yeah. So what happens next? They pick up stones. They want to stone him. He merely continues his discussion with them because he was talking about what? Good works, wasn't he? They picked up stones. He says to them, many a good works have I shown you from the Father. For which of the good works do you stone me? Up to that juncture, what was he thinking? It's logical. From verse 23, all he has talked about is good works. He has talked about his disciples. He has talked about the connection between the disciples and the Creator. He has talked about the connection between the disciples, the Creator, and him. And in that context, he made the statement, I and the Father are one. Now, it seems patently obvious from verse 23 to verse 30, he is talking about a sequence in which he is establishing clearly that me and my purpose is the same as what the Creator has sent me for. But they misunderstood. Verse 31, the picked stones. Verse 32, he says, many a good works have I stoned you from the Father. For which of the good works do you stone me? Now it's come. For good works we stone you not, but for blasphemy. Now, what does he say, verse 35 and 36? Gosh, what he says is he puts up a defense. And you'll come across the word defense in law, I'm sure you will. Yeah? He puts up a defense. He said, is it not written in your law? I said, ye are gods. Where is he referring to? The book of Psalms. Is that before Malachi? Psalms. Yeah.
The order is after Malachi.
Yeah. Even he has quoted some, the book of Psalms.
Psalms goes after Malachi. But in the order chronologically, it was written
Yes.
before Malachi.
That's it. Right. But whether it's before or after, the question is, he has referred to something. He said, is it not written in your law? I said, ye are gods. What did he mean?
He's trying to say that we're all gods.
Well, he's quoting from Psalms.
Yeah.
He's saying, look, God has already explained to you what he means. Yeah? And he says to him, is it not written in your law? Now he is telling them, look, you have grossly misunderstood what I just said. Is it not written in your law? I said, ye are gods. And if the word of God came onto him, yeah, then he claimed to be the Son of God. Why do you have a problem? Now, have you seen the switch in the language? He says, I have said this. I'm merely claiming I'm the Son of God. But is that what he said? That's not what he said. How has it suddenly switched to the notion of Son of God?
My friends, can I ask you something?
It's a question to ask and consider. But he goes on to finalize it and he says to them, Josh, he said, if there were gods on whom the word of God came, why do you see a problem with me claiming to be the Son of God? Now, according to the Torah, the appellation Son of God, is it a valid one?
Only in the sense that we're all sons of God.
Now, if I were to take that, Hebrews 9:27, for as many as are led by the Spirit of God are the sons of God.
Listen, how can any
Not a problem, is it? If you go to the book of Job chapter 25, it says there very clearly, what is the Son of Man? Really a worm. Yeah? Now, you can see the appellation is being used. The appellation is being used, and John 10:30, when read objectively, clearly establishes that Jesus did not make the claim to divinity. And these verses I've read out are actually there. You can check them. Yeah? But a bit further than that, I will ask this. You see, in this particular verse, we have established it is not what you thought it said. Give me another one.
Another example is when Jesus claims to be the Lord of the Sabbath.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
He breaks the Sabbath.
Yeah.
The Jews tell him off.
Okay.
He says, he basically arrogantly says, don't worry, I'm the Lord of the Sabbath. I'm above all this stuff.
Okay. But when he says he's the Lord of the Sabbath, okay, again, he contextualizes and he says, and you tell me whether he was wrong. He says in Matthew 23:23, he says, you hypocrites, you pay a tithe of mint, anise, and cumin, and you omit the weightier matters of the law, namely judgment, mercy. Now, ask yourself this, what was the Sabbath made for?
maybe it was normal.
Sabbath was made for two reasons. One, so that we should keep it because God told us to.
Yeah?
And two, to commemorate God and God's creation of the world in this 27th.
Excellent. Now, when it was established to be for human beings, was it for rest purposes? Now, when I look at all the relevant verses, I find that when he allegedly broke the Sabbath, It was for a practical reason, yes?
The reason was,
I'm asking.
yes. Apparently it was for practical reasons, obviously.
You're right. You're right. But here is the problem, though. I want to ask you now. If we go back to Moses, were there situations where he did something that was against God?
There was one situation
What?
when he hits the rock instead of speaking to it.
What happened?
He was punished.
And what happened after that?
He was not allowed to go into the land of Israel.
What happened after that? Was he still a prophet?
He was
Right. Now, here's an issue, if you think about it, Josh. You see, we know that those incidents occurred. But it seems like the Creator gave him a bit of leeway. Do we agree?
What do you mean?
Well, he was still a prophet, wasn't he?
Yes.
Okay.
Not that anyway. He was punished for it.
When we talk about being punished, you have done something, I've slapped you, but you continue your responsibilities.
Yes.
You aren't sacked, are you?
Right. Moses was still an incredibly holy man.
Of course,
One sin
I have
was
no
one-
doubt. The point is not that. The point is whether what we are alleging about Christ in the context of the Bible actually occurred the way you are understanding it. My contention is that is not the case. So the issue is whether it is true or not. We can confidently assert, at least I can, Brother Josh, that the idea of the divinity of Christ is not to be found in the New Testament. It's not there. They can claim as much as they want, but if we were to address it logically, rationally, and reasonably, the way we would want to address also the Torah or the Quran, then I can confidently assert to you that there is nothing in there which can claim that Jesus is divine. Well, if we can agree with that, tell me what is wrong with Christianity.
So, besides for that, there is the issue that in the Christian books, the Gospels, they constantly misquote the Tanakh.
Sorry,
They constantly misquote Tanakh and lie about fulfillment prophecies. So, for example,
yeah,
in Matthew 1:23,
yeah,
mistranslates Isaiah 7:14.
I,
Pretends
right.
as if this is a prophecy that is fulfilled by a so-called virgin birth of Mary. That's one example, right?
Are you saying that they've mistranslated the word in Isaiah?
Mistranslated,
Chapter 7,
and
verse
they also
14.
take it completely out of context.
Okay,
That's
but
one example.
no
It's the
problem.
first example of many.
Excellent. Yes, but when we are looking at these examples, we can very we can verify. It's all right, George. We can verify one thing. Yeah, that whatever we are saying, we can establish that what they are misinterpreting should not be misinterpreted. Do you agree? But if it is there, then there is no corruption, is there? Look, Josh. If, for example, Isaiah 7:14, the word is what? Bethula and Alma.
Where's Alma?
Yeah. The word that is used is Alma. Where is this? Shall we go in the sun, Josh?
Yes.
Yeah, let's go.
can go in the shade over there.
That's all right. Thank you. We are going for a nice walk now. Get out of the car. He just came and started screaming. He just started screaming. What to do? Eh? We've just got to accept it and move on. Eh? So are you in the first year? Of your,
Yeah, just finished the first year.
oh, excellent, excellent. Passed?
I think so.
Oh, that's good. I think so. I'm sure you will have. So do you want to become a barrister or a solicitor? You want to become, I knew it. I just knew you were going to say barrister. Yeah, you've got relatives in there, haven't you?
My father's a solicitor.
I thought so. Yeah. I
I
knew
want to
it.
be a solicitor.
Yeah. You're joking. Are we already at 5 o'clock? Really? Right. Well, our friend Josh here is going to be the last one then. Yeah? Right. Going back to what we were saying. So you see, you know what I mean? If, for example, the word Alma was mistranslated, but we now know that it is Alma.
Yes.
Yeah? And we know that whatever has been in 123, for example, of
Yes.
Matthew, it says virgin. Now we can actually retranslate and put the word young woman. So there isn't a problem, is there?
If that's what if we do that, and we end up saying that Jesus was a dastard, because we end up saying that Mary was not in fact a virgin, we'll end up having to say she was simply a young woman who would have relations with another man, not Joseph, because he is denying it.
Okay. But that would be based on evidence.
What do you mean? Based on
I'll tell you. Just because the appellation young woman was granted there, are you suggesting to me because Isaiah 7:14 says young woman, yes, it necessarily...
necessarily it's not.
Are you following? Yeah? So there isn't an issue there. Okay? So, but not only that,
Translation won't be an issue.
exactly,
Taking out the context is certainly an issue.
but that would only happen...
Because
Yes,
Matthew 123 is claiming a fulfillment of Isaiah 7:14.
Yeah.
And this for sure is not the case.
Yeah.
Because Isaiah 7 is talking about a siege that took place during King Ahaz,
Yeah.
King Ahaz,
Yes.
and this was a sign that the siege would end. Well, number one, the siege ended a long time before Jesus came on the
Yeah.
scene. And number two, if the siege had taken that long,
Yeah.
that's a very long siege.
Okay.
Right? Besides the fact that the sign is not necessarily the son being born to this young woman, the sign is that he's going to be called Emmanuel, meaning God is with us.
Yeah.
Showing people, right, this young woman's going to name her son God is with us, right? That's going to give people hope, a sign that God is with them in this siege, and that by the time this boy is old enough to know the difference between good and evil, the siege will have been lifted,
Right.
right? That's what happened.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Matthew is saying, oh, this woman, many years later, is going to become pregnant, right? No, it's pregnant now. It's going to give birth to a son. Name him Jesus, not Emmanuel.
Yeah.
And this is supposedly a fulfillment of something that had nothing to do with this.
Not a problem. I can agree with you. The issue is not that. The issue, Josh, is if, for example, Isaiah is talking about a siege. Which siege is he talking about?
The siege when Rezin, the king of Iran, and Pekah, the king of the northern kingdom of Israel,
Okay.
were besieging Jerusalem.
Okay. So in that context, are you saying that the verse was, when it used the appellation young woman, was talking about not a woman?
It was talking about a specific young woman during the time of the siege.
Which one?
Ahaz's wife. But we only know that from tradition. The verse itself doesn't tell us which woman.
There you are. You see, the issue is not that. If the verse says that, tradition may point to that. But it's not definitive, is it?
It's not definitive.
Okay. Right.
However, the fact is that this verse is talking about a woman during a time of siege.
That's fine. I have not a problem with that. But the issue I'm raising here is, you see, the fact that a tradition is supporting what you are saying and not the text itself is probably suggesting to you and me that if it is not done carefully, it can be mistranslated and it can be misapplied.
Right.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if we were to go to the New Testament and we have established that, well, Christ has not claimed any kind of divinity, yeah, then everything else now is going to have to be contextualized, yeah, and the appropriate rendering of the translation should be applied to that. Do we agree with that?
Sure.
It is. Now, if we are to do that, we will find that there is nothing that can be disagreed with, because whatever you say about the New Testament can equally apply to the Torah.
It can.
It
but
can.
In this case, it does not.
Oh well, I'm talking about not only one case. Like I said, if we look at it all, yeah. But if that is the case, you now have to tell me on what basis you made the initial statement that Christianity is false.
So now I'm saying Christianity is false because in various places in the New Testament there are contradictions against the Torah, and
Like what?
so, for example, when it says there were 75 souls coming down to Egypt, or maybe 70, or
Okay.
or when it or when it believes that that Abraham's father died before Abraham had left his father. That's not true.
Okay, how do we know that?
You know that you can calculate the numbers in Genesis chapter 11.
Okay,
Right?
so it's not specific in the Torah.
Well, it's numbers.
You just
it's adding
calculate,
up,
right? Okay.
Or another example, when it,
Now-
when it
Just
says
hold those
that
numbers.
David's city was Bethlehem, even though that was just where he was born. The city of David was Jerusalem.
Right. Okay. Let's
Many
just
more.
let's just sit with those two examples. Are you familiar with the book of Nehemiah?
Yes,
What about Ezra?
yes.
Are you familiar with them?
Semi-familiar.
Semi-familiar. There is a particular statement, yeah, where the very same incident is mentioned. Exact ditto, except the numbers are different.
Oh, you're talking about the difference in the numbers in Ezra.
Yes.
There's an explanation for that. There's a reason.
Do we agree that they are different numbers?
They're different numbers for different events.
That's fine. The issue is this. If you are suggesting that events are different and everything in the script is the same, okay, your interpretation is stretching it.
Not necessarily.
Tell me why.
Because from the context, it certainly seems that in Ezra, it's talking about the first time people were coming. In Nehemiah, it's talking about the second time they were coming. That's
Okay.
what it seems from the context.
Seems to. But if you assess, and I'm telling you, try it. I did it. If you assess it carefully, you will find it is exactly the same event. It's not seeming as though it is another event. But I'm just using that as an example for us to correlate. Since you suggested that, look, it's contradicting this, well, I'm saying, well, actually, even here, you can find something similar. Now, if we say that, look, let's agree that there is a possibility, because you yourself have said it seems, so it's not definitive, okay? Fine. So the question then therefore arises again, what is false about Christianity?
The reasons I just outlined.
I just told you that they can equally apply to the Torah.
I'm saying that in the Torah, there's actually reasons that can explain it.
Excellent. But that is from your perspective of you believing in it, that's why. Don't you agree with that? Because the Christian can say the same thing. He said, listen, this is what I
Christian
found.
wouldn't want to say
Yeah,
that.
well, whether he does or not, but the principle is there. Now, the issue is this. Divinity-wise, we can say they aren't. Yeah? Understanding-wise, we can say it can be rearranged, for want of a better word. Okay? But all that is what I would suggest are technical elements. In terms of what we are trying to establish, the falsehood of Christianity.
So I'll continue. Another example.
Sure.
Right? So you've addressed one of the fulfillment prophecies, though not in my view satisfactorily. The fact is that whenever, especially in the book of Matthew, it uses a fulfillment prophecy, it strips it entirely of its context, so it's very clearly not fulfillment of any prophecy.
But that is based on what we just agreed on, potentially misunderstanding.
But that's not misunderstanding, that's
Right.
deliberately taking things completely out of the text.
Is it deliberately taking it out?
Yes, because the book of Matthew
Yeah.
is, rightly or wrongly, a propaganda piece.
Okay.
Trying to convince you that Jesus is the Messiah.
Uh-huh.
That's the whole point of the book of Matthew. I think everyone agrees that.
Well, I would not agree with you. Let me ask you this. You think that the book of Matthew has gone out of its way to establish that Jesus is the Messiah?
Yes,
Why?
because when you read through it, that's
No, but why would they want to establish that?
because they believe it's true.
Okay, if it is true, yes, it's not conferring any divinity on him.
Sure,
So why would they do that?
how they do that? Because they believe it.
No, that came after. But why would they do it? Why would they do it? If there was no argument with the Jews, and there wasn't, why would they want to do something like that?
Why would they want to start a new false religion?
No, that's your claim. Why would they want to go out of their way to make Jesus the Messiah?
Because they believe it's true.
Listen to yourself, Josh. I'm asking you, why would they go out of it? Because you said it's patently obvious they are, the whole book of Matthew, everybody knows it was only to make Jesus the Messiah. I am saying, If you look at the book itself, okay, the issue is this. If they did make him into the Messiah, to what end? They must have had vested interests. To what end? Because, are you following? Yeah. Is that what you think it is?
I think that's what you're asking.
To what
motivation?
To what end?
You can ask him Sikhism, you can ask
Exactly. Hey, on anyone.
On Nanak, we can ask what was his motivation. On Gatara, we can ask what was his motivation.
No, that's what I'm asking. No.
Right? And there are never any easy answers. You can ask this on Paul.
Absolutely.
There's never any easy answers as to why somebody started a religion, even if we agree that religion is false.
But if that is the assumption we work on, that look, the primary motive of this group of people was to start something they knew was false.
So I'm not sure if that. So it depends whether or not they knew it was false.
That's exactly the question we are asking. You made the claim that they knew it was false. I'm saying no, that's not the case. They might have been, but they might also have been true, which you have not considered.
Oh, that it was true?
Yes, you have not considered it, have you?
If it was true, it would be a good.
No, Josh. Like in a court of law, I just asked you a question. Have you ever genuinely considered it? No, you haven't. Now there you are. So what I would suggest we do, Josh, we need to travel 200 odd miles, so I'm going to have to take leave. But what we do, I'm going to leave you with one thing. I want you to check Matthew out. And when I come back, excellent. I want you to go revisit it. When I come back again, God willing, definitely in about 4 weeks or even maybe less. Are you here regular?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. No, I'm not here next week.
Actually,
the week
in 2 weeks, I'm not going to be here.
Right.
I'm here next week. I'm not here the following week. It's a fast day.
The third Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, we will make sure, God willing, I will come the third Sunday. Then we will continue from here, and then we'll move on to Islam also.
All right.
And come to a common understanding. We can agree to disagree.
Yes.
A pleasure, Josh. Anything untoward, please do forgive me. That was not the intention. You look after yourself and get revised Matthew. When I come, I will quiz you on it.
Okay.
God bless. Look after yourself, Josh. Okay. Take your bag. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I'm very grateful for that conversation, family, because so as you can see, they had 2 conversations within 3 years. 2 conversations. And you can go back and look at Speaker's Corner videos and look up Josh, the Orthodox Jew, and you can see where he has multiple conversations recently with Christians. But in 2 conversations in 3 years with the Muslim has him looking at the New Testament completely. He can't argue against what the Muslim is saying. And the Muslim is coming at him with a really, really measured tone. He's not being emotional about anything. And he's keeping the etiquette of the Quran. And in doing so, he's able to challenge perspectives and thoughts, etc., whatnot, and make the young Jewish homie think. So I wanted to show that as an illustration as to what Quranic etiquette actually looks like. Yeah, Shabir's cool, period. Like, I wish every Muslim at the park doing dawah did dawah like Shabir did. Because again, the way Shabir does it is emblematic of how the Quran says to do things. And so you're seeing him reap the benefit thereof as well. In the sense that, like I said, within 2 years, he's giving this young Jewish kid he's giving this young Jewish kid some stuff to think about. He walked him back on all kind of stuff. And had him at a stalemate, like he was just sitting there thinking, twisting his beard and whatnot. So I hope everybody was able to glean something of importance from that. And again, like, I want my Christian family to take a look at this too. Like, so the Jews don't have any issue with the Islamic perspective of Jesus. In the Islamic perspective of Jesus, he's still the Messiah. He's a spirit from God. He's a word from God, and he's the son of Mary, and he's a prophet and a messenger. What he is not the physical son, which is what Shabir was just talking about. For my family that need him to die on the cross, the Quran doesn't deny that he dies on the cross. I literally debate Muslims on the Arabic of that. It literally does not deny that in any way, shape, or form. There's a lot of aspects of Jesus that a lot of people assume is in the Quran that's not there. So I want to just be clear with this. Like, so the Jewish kid there he was having very hard times arguing against the Islamic concept of Jesus. And my man was arguing from the Bible. He didn't even use the Quran. Shabir was just using the Bible, saying that perhaps Christians are not looking at the Bible the way they should. Maybe they're reading into the Bible some things. So he may be correct, he may not be correct. But what's evident is that one, via his etiquette, and two, via his arguments, he's been more effective at getting the Jewish person to think about Christianity and the Bible and accepting Jesus as the Messiah than the majority of Christian people who've talked to him in the vast majority of, like, in the 3-year time span in between Shabir and he had these last two conversations. So I hope there's something to reflect on for everybody, Jew, Christian, Muslim, etc., because there's a lot to be gleaned there in a lot of positive directions. I'm going to look for a video with Shabir and an atheist as well, because, like I said, the Quran actually gives etiquette for how to deal with an atheist and with people of the book and with polytheists, etc. So it's something I hope to make clear for the people. But much gratitude to Shabir for being the example he is, and exemplifying the Quran's etiquette the way that he does. Without him and without the Sri Lankan brother that gave me the Quran, I can probably honestly say I would never even consider calling myself a Muslim. So much gratitude for them and their demonstrations. But with that, family, I've been yakking long enough. I hope y'all have a good one this evening. And peace and love.